Hello everyone! Today I want to talk to you about some specific details that I didn't mention in the last episode about my experience in Australia. Just some details that I feel are really relevant to the whole experience and that bring a different perspective as well to this well-being relationship between following our dreams and the information that our animals bring into our lives and the transformation that they bring into our lives. So with this whole thing of moving to Australia, what happened was I was following more my heart and not as much my head, right? I was following what was really calling me and not really thinking about what I was going to do next, or that I was just quitting a job that was safe and it was good in many ways, not fulfilling me in every aspect, but you know, we can go to our heads and think about all those things. I was just following my heart, like what was really calling me, and I felt it's now or never, because in the same way I was looking for other jobs and other opportunities, and I actually had one lining up. And then when I knew about the opportunity to Australia and that I got in, I just said, thank you so much, but I'm gonna go and do this because it's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity and experience, because that visa was until you got to 30. So I was 26 at the time. When I went to Australia, I was already 27. So I was like, okay, it's now or never really, because if I get to a new job and, you know, few years go by, like the opportunity came, it's time to go now. And it was something that I had in my mind for a long time. So it was like perfect situation, perfect scenario, it's now. Following this path, what happened during those 6 weeks that I told you about, that I was having this dog, pet sitting her, I was staying in their house while they were on holidays and I was taking care of their dog. What happened was really, really curious, was that I started forgetting after maybe, I don't know, a couple of weeks of being there or something like that. I started forgetting this pill that I was taking since I was 12 years old. And it was a pill that I was supposed to take every single day, all of my life, supposedly. And, you know, I was really young when I was diagnosed with that. So it was a chronic disease, as they call it. And yeah, I didn't really think about it. I was really young, you know, I was so used to take that pill in the morning, first thing that I would do, waking up, you know, before having my breakfast, that I didn't really think much about it. It was programmed in me somehow. It was like the routine was always the same. And, you know, I was already in Australia for 6 months, and even with the moving here, there, like a lot of different routines, that was not why it changed, you know, like it was part of my routine for so many years, like 15, almost 16 years. So it was part of me, kind of thing, in some way. And what happened was that I started just forgetting it. So weird. So I think it was like the next day when I was going to take it in the morning, I remembered that I didn't in the last day. I was like, oh wow, what happened? And because it was like, it never happened to me before, never in those 15, 16 years. I never forgot one single day. I always took it. And it happened once. Then that day I took it, all good. The next day I forgot again. And next day, the same thing. I was like, oh my God, I forgot again yesterday. So I took it, okay. Then it started happening quite often. I was like, okay, maybe this is my body telling me something. So I just decided to do something different, because I was already like, you know, listening more to my body, doing the kinesiology sessions. I did it. I did say this word. Having more contact as well with the owner of the dog that works with energy also started me in this new path and understanding. And of course, I was already a bit more open to it because I was reading The Secret, and I read The Secret before going to Australia, so I was a bit more open than before, but still, it was everything really new to me. So I felt that my body was telling me something, and I decided to take it one day, not take the other one, take the other one. So one yes, one no, one yes, one no. I did that for a few weeks. Well, now let's create even a bigger space between them. So one day yes, 2 days no. One day yes, 2 days no. And I did it for many, many weeks, I think even months. I decided to finish the pills that I took with me to Australia. The pills were for a year. I decided to stop to take the pills. I was like 5-6 months in that transition of taking every single day to start taking less and less and less. I did some research as well, and I knew that, of course, the body is so used to it for such a long time that I decided to do this to allow my body to get used to not have it and see like how it would react, how I would be, how I would feel. And yeah, it was really cool. At the same time, I decided to stop taking the contraceptive pill. So it was like a big change in many ways for my body. I was really being more aware of being healthy and making healthier choices for my body, for my soul, for my system, eating healthier. Suddenly the body starting to have these reactions. So I started like taking the pill less and less, then stopping the contraceptive pills, and yeah, mostly that. And at the same time breaking up this relationship that lasted for almost 9 years. It was like a big thing. It was a big thing for my whole system to process. A lot of emotions, deep emotions, and the hormones, right, affect a lot of our emotions and vice versa. So there was a whole shift happening in my whole system right there. At the same time, this is my part, so I wanted to share this because I really feel that as I was finally listening to my inner voice again, I was listening to my voice, I was listening to my heart, and I followed the dream. I'm having goosebumps just talking about it. I followed my path that was uncertain, that was unknown. I had no idea what was going to be in the other side. And it's so funny, like so many things are coming to my mind right now to tell you, but it's like when you do that, your body aligns. It's like your body, your heart, your soul align, and you just get healthier. Your body just gets healthier, because it's really funny as well, because I was talking about this today, and like the heart is the organ, if we want to say, like the thing in our whole system that has the biggest electromagnetic fields, and so it's the thing that radiates the most outside of us. It's not our brain, it's not how we try to manifest with our minds. That is also important and relevant. But when we live in accordance and in alignment with our hearts, that shows in the outside. That radiates in the outside and all around us. And it affects everything around us, really. And our own body. Our body is inside of that radiation, right? Our heart is impacting our whole body, the functioning of our whole body, and the things we attract around us, what happens outside of us and around us. So there were a lot of things, like magical things happening in my whole system, in my whole reality, that was shifting my life really, from one before Australia and one during and after Australia. I really felt that shift happening. And there are so many things I could tell you about it. These are like some big key ones that I think are showing and passing the message of what I want to tell you here. And another thing that I want to share is now related a bit more with the dogs itself, and something that I've come to realize in these last few years since I came back from Australia, and I have been working with dogs all this whole time. And what I can tell you is really how these, like our emotions, our worries, our fears, our anxieties pass to our dogs and affect their well-being. And it's not that we are the ones to blame for it. It's not that. It's really just realizing and knowing that everything around us is being a mirror to what's going on inside of us. And when we allow ourselves to accept it and not judge ourselves for what's happening and not seeing ourselves as the ones to blame, but really just to take responsibility, to see it, to acknowledge it, and to look inside of us to see, okay, what can I do? What can I change? What can I choose now to change this, to transform this reality, to improve it? And that's something that I saw happening in Australia right away. At the time, I was not aware of what was actually happening. I was not seeing it that way. For example, with that dog that I was taking care of during those 6 weeks, what happened was, as I told you, like she healed me, I healed her, and the whole energy in the house was contributing to my healing as well. And now, like I know, because the woman that lived there, she worked with energies and highest levels of consciousness, and that shown, like that improved my life, that supported me in doing the changes I had to do and my body transforming. And so energy is everywhere, everything is energy, so we are impacted by everything impacts us, and we have to be aware, right, of where we choose to be, where we choose to go, and the choices of what we allow in our energy fields, because everything impacts everything. And if we are aware of what we are putting out and who we are being and what we want to be, it's much easier to create moving forward what we desire in our lives, basically. So what I wanted to tell you is this dog had these skin issues since she was 4 months old. So very, very early in her life. And she was 11 months old at that time when we stayed with her, or almost 11 months old. And from what I remember, since she was very little, she always had like a few issues. So in the first months of her life, I think it was vomiting, like she would vomit a lot. So like stomach, gut issues. So it was like a hardest start to her life somehow. Of course, with her family, her owners, like worrying about her, right, and her well-being, and trying to make the best to provide her the best conditions, the best food, the best supplements, the best everything for her to be healthy. It's natural that when we have a being that is depending on us, that we worry and we try to make our best to improve their lives, right? And sometimes what we don't realize is that we put too much worry into it, and our feelings, our emotions projecting themselves into the animal. And I feel that it's when we are ready to listen, when we are finally opening up and starting being ready to listen to what the animal is telling us, that these things show up. Like she was showing them what was going on somehow with their energy, with their worrying too much. They realized one of them was really worried with her situation since all the issues that were presenting themselves. So after those gut situations, I think it was gut, stomach, she started developing the skin issues very young, like earlier in her life, at 4 months old. And started to be really painful for her, uncomfortable, and like the hair was falling out. She was scratching a lot, and her face was like no fur in a few parts of it, and like really red. She really wanted to scratch it. It was really uncomfortable for her, which is normal, and it's still a puppy, so growing. And around like 10 months, I think, she also entered the stage of the hormonal development, so that also impacts a lot of things. And one thing led to another. She was really uncomfortable. She started like showing behaviors that looked like aggression towards other dogs, and before she was really playful and soft, and so it was everything together really. It was the discomfort that she was feeling that she didn't know how to express, and then the hormonal changes, so she was just showing it that way. For me at that time, I saw things in a more practical way, in the sense of, okay, maybe it's the egg because they were giving egg with the food, or maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So I tried to cut a few things, not give her eggs every day, just cut like a few things that I thought maybe it was adding too much, and I tried to simplify as much as possible. And I think what happened mostly, it was not really about the eggs that I was not giving her, but really about the way that I was seeing the situation, because I was outside, right? It was not my dog. So of course my worries towards her, even if I was taking care of her, it was completely different. The feeling that we have towards that being is more with an outside perspective, not so emotional attached, even being somehow emotionally attached, because I really liked her, I took care of her, and just like easily create this kind of connection with dogs because of the relationship I have with them. But because I was not as worried as the family was, and I was, focusing on what I knew how to do. I was helping her on the walks for her not to be as reactive to other dogs. I was helping her not to pull as much on the walks, and doing a different kind of training from what they were learning to do before, because I didn't feel it was the right one for her because of the skin conditions, like everything was causing her too much discomfort. And I tried to minimize and simplify as much as possible and just do the things I learned and that I knew how to do. So she started like walking nicely. She started not reacting as much to other dogs, and actually like just let them go on their own and just be more peaceful, more playful again. And also the skin started to heal and get better. I think it was like in the second or third week, that you could actually, I was always with her, so I didn't notice as much, just when I would look at the difference in the photos. But because I was working in a doggy daycare and sometimes I would take her with me, when I took her the first time, yeah, she still had a lot of the face mostly was what we would notice more, the face, without the hair and the skin really red. And then the week after I took her again, and they told me like, oh my god, what did you do? She looks so much better. I was like, oh wow, thank you. Like, okay, I noticed that she was better, but I didn't notice as much. Like, they were really wowed by it, the people that worked with me in the doggy daycare. And actually in the end of that period of the 6 weeks, she was perfect. The hair had started to grow again. She had plenty of hair already in all the places, and she was looking gorgeous. Like, yeah, I was really happy for it, and even more for seeing her family so happy, like the couple, her owners, like so happy when they would see her, like the photos on camera, but then in person, when they finally arrived and saw her, they were so happy. and so grateful, like so emotional even. Yeah, like, you know I did my best, but at the same time, I couldn't say, look, it was this or that. Like, it was a lot of things, right? Also helping with the walks, but yeah, it's like when you add one thing with another thing with another thing, like they all add up, they all sum up. But at the same time, I feel and I know, as much as they contributed to me, and that house and that dog and that woman especially contributed to me in this way of changing my life, of like really such a big shift that happened. I also know that I contributed in their lives, especially with their dog. That created like a really special bond, and I will never forget, because it was like in that house, in those weeks, that my whole life changed and started to change in a big way. Like big decisions, big changes started to happen there. So yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you today. It's pretty special, it's pretty specific, but I feel it's really important, and I know some of you will really align and understand and relate to this. And maybe it can help you see things that you were not seeing before, and maybe you can bring another perspective to the situation that you are living with your dog right now, maybe, or something else, even with your kids, because it happens the same. Like, we are all energetic beings, and our energies impact them, they impact us. And again, it's not that we are the ones to blame. No, like, we are here, like, they choose to be here with us as much as we choose to be here with them. And so it's somehow an agreement that our souls do. So we are all in this together, and I think it's really beautiful when we can take this information and have these awarenesses, so we can improve our lives, both our lives and their lives. Because again, as I say, sometimes we think we are the ones to rescue them, and they end up being the ones rescuing us. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.